In any case, this created a real need for a Palestinian entity to do something. The Palestinian Authority really had its hands tied. Even though it was engaged in the Intifada in many ways, the agreements between the Palestinian Authority and Israel made it very difficult for this authority to take any clear position on political demands and on tactics that the solidarity movement could use. The Palestine Liberation Organization, unfortunately, had been essentially crippled through the peace process and was not, again, in a position, and after all, it's the PLO that had signed these agreements with Israel. And so the only real actors or players who could do anything was the civil society. And when I talk about civil society, and when we talk about civil society in general during this conference, we don't just mean the non-governmental organizations, the NGOs. We mean all of the political parties, including Fatah and Hamas and the left. We're talking about the unions, the workers' unions, the farmers' unions, about the women's unions, about the refugee organizations. And so in 2004 and 2005, we began to have a civil society movement to try to put together what are the Palestinians' demands. And how do we want people to be in solidarity with Palestine? This began in 2004 with a call for academic and cultural boycott. It started with the professors, with the musicians, and with the artists, and with the people working in the field of culture. So in 2004, they issued the Palestinian call for academic and cultural boycott. And some of you may have heard of PACB or of Omar Baghouti or Lisa Taraki. These are the people, PACB, the Palestinian Campaign for the Academic and Cultural Boycott of Israel, is what came out of this effort. And it still is a leading member of the boycott movement today. From 2004 to 2005, this was expanded. It was expanded to all of the civil society organizations. And here I mean all of the unions, all of the political parties, etc. And it was expanded to Palestinians in all over the world. And so the refugees, the Palestinian citizens of Israel, and their organizations. So by 2005, on the first anniversary of the International Court of Justice advisory opinion on the wall, Palestinian civil society issued this call. And it's essentially the foundation of the BDS campaign. The call is important in three ways, essentially. The first way is it says, if you want to be in solidarity with Palestine, all of the fundraising and twinning and olive oil activities that you're doing are all very important. But the way that Palestinians are asking you to be in solidarity with Palestine is to work on boycott, divestment sanctions. Right? This is the way to be in solidarity with Palestine. The second very important thing about the call is it lays down the political minimum of what are the political demands of the Palestinian movement. And by Palestinian movement here, I mean the Palestinian National Movement of Palestinians and the Solidarity Movement. Right? Together, I talk about these as the Liberation Movement or Palestinian Movement. The three main political demands are stated very clearly in the call, and I'm sure many of you have seen them. First, end to the occupation, and by this we mean the occupation of the West Bank, Gaza, Golan Heights, and the parts of southern Lebanon that are still under occupation, but also the dismantling of the wall and freedom for all political prisoners. Second, full equality for Palestinians who are citizens of the State of Israel. I was speaking a little bit yesterday about some of the aspects of the racism that they face in every aspect of their lives. And third, and this, like I said yesterday again, is probably the most important demand, the implementation of Palestinian refugee rights, specifically their right of return. The third, and maybe most interesting or most important part of this call is who signed the call. And like I said, it's all of Palestinian civil society. It's all of the parties and unions and refugee organizations and women's organizations. So in fact, this call is as representative as you can get of the Palestinian people. We can very confidently say that this call represents the Palestinian people. And just to give you a sense of it, today this is the largest coalition this is the largest Palestinian coalition in the world. the signatories of the BDS call. It's one of the only places where Hamas and Fatah are on the same table. Right? Now, as a result of this call, and because immediately people began to use this call to work for BDS in their countries, and the earliest successes came in South Africa, we had to begin to have an organization that could try to be a reference for people like you who are working on BDS but need information from Palestine, need a statement from Palestine. Michael may speak about some of the instances where essentially a union will pass a BDS resolution, and then all of a sudden we have a statement, oh, but Palestinian workers are against the boycott. So we needed action from Palestine to say, no, look, there are signatories, and to get another statement from the unions to say, no, of course we support the boycott. And so there's all of this coordination kind of work that was needed. So by 2007, 2008, we put together essentially a more formal coalition of the Palestinian groups working on BDS, and this became called the Palestinian BDS National Committee. You'll see it often referred to as the BNC. So this is just also so you know what the BNC is. And until today, the BNC is the main coordinating body of the BDS campaign. However, it's very important to note maybe two main things, and this is what I'll end with. Two main things about the BDS campaign. The first thing is we in Palestine, and the BNC, does not tell people outside of Palestine what to do. As long as you agree with you're working on BDS and have the three main demands, refugee rights, Palestinian citizens of Israel's rights, and Palestinians under occupation's rights, as your political minimum, and are working on BDS, then you are part of the BDS campaign. We cannot tell you this campaign is better than this one, etc. We call this context sensitivity. You in Sweden, or in Denmark, or in Norway, know much better than we do what needs to be done in Sweden. And it's not just about what's more important or what will be more effective. In your group, what is your specialty? We can't expect a group that has many people in the churches but no students to go and work in the universities or in the colleges. We can't expect a group. So we rely on you to decide what are your expertise. What do you see as the main links that you can try to intervene and break these links between your context and Israel? And how to campaign is also entirely something that's based on your culture of activism in your countries. What makes the more sense in Sweden, because it's not the same in South Africa or in the United States or in Palestine. The second and last thing that I'll say is that this is an anti-racist movement. It's an anti-apartheid movement. And we might speak more later about how Israel is an apartheid state if that's not clear for people. And I'm happy to do this individually if people want to talk more about it. But as an anti-racist movement, there is no room for racists in our movement. There's no room for anti-Semites, there's no room for homophobia, there's no room for sexism anywhere in this movement. This is a liberation movement, and this is the politics maybe even over and above the three demands that we're talking about. And so it should be kept in mind that there is no room for racism or for oppressive kind of positions and behaviors in this movement.